Have you ever wondered about the dark secrets that lurk behind the gilded doors of royal palaces? The opulence of royal courts, the grandeur of crowns and scepters, the pageantry of royal weddings, and the intrigue of royal politics can be intoxicating. These tales of power and privilege have fascinated us for centuries, offering a glimpse into a world few of us will ever know firsthand. Indeed, the histories of royal families, like the Tudors of England or the Romanovs of Russia, are often portrayed with a certain glamour and allure. Their reigns are remembered for their contributions to art, culture, and governance. They've shaped nations, inspired revolutions, and left indelible marks on human history. However, beyond the glittering facade and the polished narratives, there lies a darker side. The pursuit of power and the preservation of royal bloodlines have often led to a series of chilling, sinister events. The corridors of power, it seems, are not only lined with gold and precious gems, but also with blood and betrayal. These are stories of royal intrigues that turned deadly, of power struggles that ended in murder. Stories of monarchs who ruled with an iron fist, of dynasties brought down by their own ambition. They're tales of royal madness, of assassinations and executions, of mysterious disappearances and alleged curses. They're the hidden shadows of power, the dark corners of royal histories that are often overlooked or deliberately concealed. These are not the fairy tale stories of kings and queens that we're used to. They're far more complex, far more human, and far more terrifying. They remind us that even those who seem to have it all, the power, the wealth, the prestige, are not immune to the darker aspects of human nature. So if you're ready, let's peel back the layers of royal glamour and shine a light on the darker side of these historical narratives. Dive with us into the murky depths of royal histories where power and ambition often led to chilling dark events. The Tudor dynasty, a name synonymous with power, passion, and a trail of blood. In the heart of this dynasty, we find a king whose name still echoes through the halls of history, King Henry VIII. His reign, though marked by significant political and religious changes, is perhaps most notoriously remembered for his 6 wives and the bloody end that met some of them. Take, for instance, his second wife, Anne Boleyn. A woman of charm, wit, and ambition, Anne captured the king's heart, leading him to sever ties with the Catholic Church to marry her. This revolutionary act marked the beginning of the Church of England, which remains to this day. But this love story was far from a fairy tale. The bitter irony was that the same man who defied an entire religious institution to marry Anne would later order her execution. Anne Boleyn's death is a haunting tale of intrigue, jealousy, and power. Accused of adultery, incest, and high treason, she was executed at the Tower of London. Her beheading, performed by a skilled French swordsman, was a grim spectacle witnessed by a crowd of onlookers. Despite her pleas of innocence, her fate was sealed, and with a single stroke, one of the most influential queens in English history met her end. But the bloodshed didn't stop at the executioner's block. The religious unrest sparked by Henry's separation from the Catholic Church led to a period of profound upheaval and violence. The dissolution of the monasteries, a direct consequence of the English Reformation, saw the destruction of monastic buildings and the displacement of monks and nuns. Many of those who resisted were executed, adding to the death toll of Henry's reign. Beyond the monastery walls, the common people too felt the brunt of these religious changes. The Pilgrimage of Grace, a massive uprising in the north of England, was a desperate plea for the reinstatement of the Catholic faith. However, the rebellion was brutally suppressed, resulting in the execution of its leaders and numerous participants. Throughout his reign, Henry's relentless pursuit of a male heir led him down a path of multiple marriages, annulments, and executions. His ruthless determination resulted in a legacy of fear and bloodshed. Each wife, each rebellion, each act of defiance met with unflinching retribution. Yet despite the violence and turmoil, Henry's reign brought about significant changes that shaped England's future. The break with Rome set the stage for the country's religious identity, and his determination to secure a male heir eventually led to the succession of one of England's greatest monarchs, Queen Elizabeth I. The Tudor dynasty, with all its passion and power, was also a dynasty steeped in blood. From the execution of a queen to the crushing of rebellions, the cost of their reign was paid in lives. The echoes of their rule still resonate today, a chilling reminder of a time when love, faith, and ambition could mean both power and death. The Tudor reign, a period of prosperity, came with a hefty price tag of blood and treachery. The Romanovs, a dynasty that ruled with an iron fist, met a tragic, bloody end. Let's delve into the final chapter of the Romanovs, a tale that is as chilling as it is poignant. The Romanovs, a name synonymous with grandeur and power, were the last imperial dynasty to rule over Russia. Their reign, however, ended not with a peaceful surrender, but with a violent upheaval that shook the world. Nicholas II, the last Tsar of Russia, was a man of paradoxes. While he was known for his familial love and devotion, his reign was marred by political unrest, military failures, and the infamous Rasputin's influence. The country was in turmoil, and the Russian Revolution was brewing, a potent cocktail of dissent and desperation. In the cold month of March, 1917, Nicholas was forced to abdicate the throne. The Russian monarchy, which had stood for over 300 years, crumbled within days. The abdication was a shock to the Romanov family, but what was to follow was something they could never have envisaged. The Romanovs were placed under house arrest. The once grand and opulent family was reduced to prisoners within their own home. Their captors, the Bolsheviks, were ruthless and unyielding. The family's pleas for mercy fell on deaf ears. The Romanovs were trapped, with no hope of escape. In the early hours of July the 17th, 1918, the Romanovs were awakened and led to the basement of the house. There, in the dimly lit room, the entire family was executed. Nicholas, his wife Alexandra, their 5 children, and a handful of loyal servants met a brutal end. The world recoiled in horror at the news of the execution. The Romanovs, the embodiment of imperial power, were no more. Their bodies were hastily buried in an unmarked grave, their memory reduced to whispers in the winds of history. Yet, amidst the tragedy, a glimmer of hope emerged. A mystery that has captivated the world for over a century. The youngest daughter, Anastasia Romanov, was said to have survived the execution. Rumors spread like wildfire, stories of her escape, her new life under a different name. For many, Anastasia became a symbol of resilience, a ray of light in the dark tale of the Romanovs. Despite numerous claims and sightings, Anastasia's survival remains a mystery. Some believe that she did indeed escape and lived out her days in anonymity. Others argue that it's merely a romanticized version of history, a desperate attempt to find a silver lining in a dark cloud. The truth, it seems, is lost in the annals of time. The Romanovs' story is a stark reminder of the transient nature of power. They ruled with an iron fist, lived in opulence, and were revered by many, yet they met a tragic end. Their glory tarnished by blood and betrayal. Their downfall was as swift as it was brutal, a chilling testament to the unpredictable ebb and flow of history. The Romanovs, a symbol of absolute power, were ultimately consumed by the very forces they sought to control. Their legacy, however, lives on. It's a tale of power, tragedy, and mystery, a tale as haunting as it is captivating. As we delve deeper into the shadows of royal histories, we are reminded of the complexities and contradictions that shape the course of human events. The French Revolution, a revolt against royalty, led to an infamous reign of terror. Picture this: France in the late 18th century. A nation seething with discontent, its people hungry and disillusioned, rise up against their opulent monarchs. The French Revolution, a revolt against centuries of royal extravagance, led to a reign of terror that would change the course of history forever. In the midst of this chaos, 2 figures stand out: Louis XVI and his queen, Marie Antoinette. Louis, a well-meaning but indecisive ruler, found himself ill-equipped to handle the mounting crisis. Marie Antoinette, on the other hand, was a woman of extravagant tastes, forever etched in history as the queen, who supposedly said, "Let them eat cake," when told her subjects had no bread. Their reign, once filled with grandeur, was now marked by escalating chaos. The revolution was in full swing, and the royal family found themselves prisoners of the people they once ruled. The guillotine, a symbol of the revolution's thirst for equality, loomed ominously over their fates. On January 21st, 1793, King Louis XVI was led to the guillotine. The once almighty monarch now stood before his subjects not as a king but as a prisoner. As the blade fell, so did the age-old institution of monarchy in France. The execution of Louis XVI sent shockwaves across Europe, shaking the very foundations of royal power. Yet the reign of terror was far from over. The guillotine's thirst was not quenched with the king's blood. It awaited another royal victim, Marie Antoinette. 9 months after her husband's execution, she too was sentenced to death. The queen, once the epitome of opulence and extravagance, met the same fate as her husband under the shadow of the guillotine. The reign of terror saw the widespread violence and fear that swept through the nation. No one was safe from the guillotine's blade. Nobles, clergy, and even revolutionaries who were deemed not radical enough all fell victim to the era's merciless quest for equality. The guillotine became the embodiment of the revolution's paradox, a fight for freedom that resulted in tyranny. Between 1793 and 1794, an estimated 16,000 people were executed. The guillotine, initially seen as a symbol of justice and equality, became a symbol of fear. Its blade did not distinguish between the guilty and the innocent. It fell with the same cold indifference, its purpose solely to extinguish the life beneath it. The reign of terror ended with the fall of Maximilien Robespierre, one of its key architects to the guillotine. But the scars it left on the French society were deep and lasting. It marked a dark chapter in the pursuit of equality and liberty, a stark reminder of how a noble cause can be twisted into a reign of terror. The French Revolution, a fight for equality, ironically led to a reign of terror that spared no one. Thus, as we reflect on the fall of the guillotine, we are reminded of the complexity of human nature and the delicate balance between power and justice. The guillotine falls, and with it a chapter of history marked by blood and terror, but also by resilience and the enduring human spirit. The Ming dynasty, known for its cultural prosperity, also has a dark history of tyranny and oppression. Let's delve into the reign of the Yongle Emperor, a ruler whose thirst for power was as insatiable as his contributions to his empire were remarkable. Born Zhu Di, he was the fourth son of the Hongwu Emperor, the founder of the Ming dynasty. But Zhu Di was not content to remain in the shadows. His ambitions led him to launch a rebellion against his own nephew, the Jianwen Emperor, in a bid for the throne. This rebellion, known as the Jingnan Campaign, was a brutal and bloody affair, lasting for 3 long years. It ended with Zhu Di victorious, ascending the throne as the Yongle Emperor. But his victory was shrouded in controversy, as his nephew vanished without a trace, leading to rumors of his escape or even murder at the hands of his ambitious uncle. Once on the throne, the Yongle Emperor proved to be as ruthless a ruler as he was a rebel. He moved the capital from Nanjing to Beijing, a decision that was met with widespread dissatisfaction. To consolidate his power and silence any dissent, he launched purges against the officials who opposed him. His reign was marked by oppressive measures, including heavy taxation and strict control over the people's lives. But the Yongle Emperor's rule was not only about oppression and tyranny. He also undertook massive construction projects that left a lasting mark on China. The most notable of these were the Forbidden City and the Grand Canal. The Forbidden City, a sprawling palace complex in Beijing, became the political center of the Chinese government for over 5 centuries. The Grand Canal, on the other hand, was an impressive feat of engineering, stretching over 1,000 miles and linking the northern and southern parts of China. These projects, while a testament to the Yongle Emperor's vision, were also a reflection of his tyranny. Thousands of workers were forced into labor to complete these grand structures. The heavy taxes to fund these projects further burdened the common people. The Yongle Emperor's reign was a paradox, a blend of cultural prosperity and ruthless oppression. His contributions to architecture and infrastructure were immense, but they came at a high human cost. His rule was marked by fear and control, a stark contrast to the grandeur of the structures he built. The tale of the Yongle Emperor is a reminder that history is not always as black and white as it seems. It's a complex tapestry of light and dark, of progress and oppression. And sometimes the most significant contributions come from the most tyrannical rulers. The Ming dynasty, while a period of cultural richness, also bore witness to ruthless power struggles and a reign of fear. The Habsburg dynasty, a name synonymous with European royalty, also had its share of mental illness and madness. As we delve deeper into the shadows of royal history, we find ourselves in the heart of the Habsburg dynasty. Known for their vast territories, strategic marriages, and distinctive jawline, the Habsburgs were a force to be reckoned with. But behind the grandeur and the crowns lay a tale of a queen, a tale of madness and confinement. Juana of Castile, fondly known as Juana la Loca or Joanna the Mad, was a figure of tragic beauty and deep passion, an unfortunate victim of the power struggles within her own family. Born in the late 15th century, Juana was the third child of the renowned Catholic monarchs, Ferdinand and Isabella. Her life was marked by a series of unfortunate events, beginning with the death of her elder siblings and culminating in her own descent into madness. In the whirlwind of power and politics, Juana was married off to Philip the Handsome, Duke of Burgundy, a man known more for his good looks than his good character. This tumultuous marriage, marked by Philip's infidelity and neglect, was believed to be the trigger for Juana's mental instability. She fell deeply in love with Philip, a love that was met with indifference and betrayal. When Philip died unexpectedly, Juana's already precarious mental state shattered completely. She refused to be separated from her husband's corpse, carrying it around with her and keeping vigil by his coffin. Rumors spread of her erratic behavior and her inability to rule, playing right into the hands of those who wished to control the throne. As the whispers of Juana's madness grew louder, so did the ambitions of her father Ferdinand and later her son Charles. They used her supposed insanity as an excuse to confine her, first in a convent and later in the fortress of Tordesillas. For nearly 50 years, Juana was a prisoner, trapped in the gilded cage of her title, her power usurped by those who should have been her protectors. Despite the grim circumstances, Juana was never officially declared insane. Her confinement was a political move, a chess game played by men who were more interested in power than in the well-being of a fragile woman. Juana's story is a stark reminder of how the pursuit of power can lead to the downfall of even the most potent families. In the end, Juana's madness, whether real or imagined, was her downfall. But it was also a tool, a weapon used by those around her to seize power. It's a chilling tale, a dark chapter in the annals of royal history that serves as a stark reminder of the cost of power. In the Habsburg dynasty, power often came at the cost of personal happiness and sanity. The gilded pages of royal history often hide chilling tales of bloodshed, treachery, and madness. From the bloody reign of the Tudors, marked by beheadings and brutal power struggles, to the tragic fall of the Romanovs, forever etched in the annals of history. We've explored the tyranny that marked the reign of Mad Queen and the chilling guillotine that fell, marking the end of an era. These events, both sinister and tragic, shaped the course of these dynasties and left indelible marks on history. They served as stark reminders of the darkness that can lurk in the corridors of power, forever casting long shadows over the gilded thrones. We've journeyed together through these events, delving into the depths of royal history and unearthing the hidden stories that lurk beneath the surface. As we close the book on these dark chapters of royal history, we are reminded of the age-old adage, absolute power corrupts absolutely.